Please come in. You're right on time. The door only opens when the clock strikes midnight. Georgia and Hannah are preparing to broadcast from the belfry. Just like this old bell tower, they have many stories to tell. Some old and some new. Follow me up these stairs, but mind your step. Ah, they're waiting for you.
Record to this computer. Okay. Oh,
This meeting is being recorded. Okay.
I guess these are out of order, so
Yeah.
if you hear any weird noises, you'll find out what they are in the next episode. I guess I'll just jump into it.
Yeah, I mean, I have really nothing to talk about. I have my little paper and pencil right here to make notes of anything so I don't forget, because undoubtedly it will happen.
All
You
right,
know how
sorry,
it is.
Melinda. You don't get fun banter this episode.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
We're in the Gilded Age.
Are we?
In our timeline of America's dark side. I mean, it kind of feels like we're re-entering the Gilded Age.
Uh,
Uh, and I'm gonna mention a couple books I came across that I would like to read now. So I assume many people listening to this might also want to read. Okay. So in the last episode, you talked about Houdini
hmm
and his mission to debunk spiritualists a little bit.
hmm
Um, but by the time Houdini was doing that, spiritualism had been going on for decades.
Of course.
It's evidence to have existed since the 1700s, excuse me. But it was in, whoops, I wrote 1948 in my notes and it should say 1848. Um,
Fine.
it was in 1848 when the Fox sisters took the nation by storm. And that's when spiritualism became what we think of it as today. So, 11-year-old Kate and 14-year-old Margaret, they lived in New York and they said they heard strange rapping sounds throughout their house. And soon after that, they came to communicate with someone they came to know as Mr. Charles Rosna or Rosna, Rosna, who told them that he had been murdered and buried in their basement 5 years earlier.
Rip that guy.
And they're, of course, talking about this, and the neighbors are like, I don't know why it was the neighbors and not the parents, but the neighbors were like, that sounds shady. So they alerted authorities. Oh, you're being so cute. Who investigated, and they did actually find some bone fragments in the basement, and a man was even arrested for the alleged murder.
Mm-hmm, hmm
Yep. Okay, she's just pouncing on my hands. She gets really wobbly when she's like trying to focus on something. That's when like her wobbly cat syndrome becomes the most pronounced. So you can like feel when she's trying to attack something or like sneak up on it. It's really cute. And she just fell off the futon. Okay. Kate and Margaret's older sister came and took the girls to get them away from the sudden sensationalism that was happening in their town about this. And they ended up telling her that the whole thing was a hoax. Shocker.
Gross.
And while you'd
Rude.
think that was the end of things, it was actually only the beginning. So Leah,
Like, so ominous. Holy shit.
the older sister, saw this as an opportunity. So she started having Kate and Margaret do like paid seances
hmm
while she acted as the interpreter of the knocking. Like they went on tour to like Boston and Philly and like big
Okay.
cities in the Northeast.
Very entrepreneurial.
Yes, and people flocked to see them. And it was this that kind of catalyzed spiritualism into the public eye, really, for the first time. And then we have a few different things going on that really like take things to the next level. First and foremost, the Civil War,
Mm. Yep,
the
I remember that.
bloodiest event in American history to this date, with World War II being the second and World War I being the third. Most families lost at least one relative in the Civil War, either because they didn't return at all, and were definitely dead, or they did return, but as a completely changed person. And sometimes, if you didn't come home, they couldn't confirm if you were dead or not, and then the families were left without closure,
Hmm.
and that really fucked people up in the head,
I don't know what you're talking
so
about.
to speak. At the same time, two very public and female, which I think is important, figureheads are going through their own thing. So Queen Victoria in 1861 became a widow and really popularized the mourning process as we know it. Like she was one of the first like figureheads to very publicly grieve and mourn the way that she did. And in 1862, the Lincolns lost one of their children to typhoid
Hmm.
fever, which introduced seances to the White House as Mary Todd Lincoln attempted to reach him. So the whole country really entered this national state of mourning with the Civil War, and then these influential stateswomen in both the US and in Europe openly grieving for probably the first time ever. And spiritualism offered something completely new, direct access to the dead. And some people were treating it as a form of therapy, like getting closure, grief management, that kind of thing. So the first book that I'm talking a lot about here is called Radical Spirits by Anne, I think Braude, maybe Braude. It came out in the 80s. She says, this is a quote, in mediumship, women's religious leadership became normative for the first time in American history. Women could be leaders of this movement, and it was radical because they could make money, they could influence society no matter their economic status. You don't need special training to be a medium, you just have to have the gift. And that was why it was so popular, but that's also why people like Houdini were convinced that everyone was a fraud because anyone could claim to be a medium,
Yeah.
which is fair. Spiritualism also didn't threaten the patriarchy because the traits that were valued in the best mediums were those desired in the weaker sex,
Mm.
like nervousness and heightened sensitivity. Gross. Additionally, mediums were not responsible for the words that came out of their mouths.
No, sorry.
They were merely channeling the spirits. And a lot of people considered the vocabulary and the delivery were too eloquent to ever have come from the woman herself.
Interesting.
And this meant that spiritualism became heavily intertwined with social justice movements, including abolition, but especially women's rights. As the Gilded Age brought us rapid economic expansion, railroad magnets, magnates,
Same thing, basically.
industrial wealth, robber barons, the high concentration of wealth and social stratification, and excessive displays of wealth and excess, spiritualism transformed too. It became showy in high society and expensive, but still women-centered. And I think it sounds cool and is a creative way to solve a problem, but these women are still negating their own agency in order to be taken seriously, right? They don't actually get to take credit for the words and ideas that they're spreading.
Yeah, it's somebody else.
So I don't know, I just thought that was really interesting because I hadn't thought of it like that. But then I found
Hmm.
these articles about the integration of spiritualism and feminism, and I was like, oh, that's cool.
Obviously got to talk about that.
But what exactly happened in these seances? Well, let me tell you. The word seance comes from the French session, or literally to sit. So ideally, you have 6 to 8 participants sitting around a table in a candlelit room because light destroys the conditions for the spirits. And they all held hands or placed their fingertips on the table to build spiritual energy. And I didn't think of this when I was writing my notes, but that's probably also why most like ghost hunts and stuff take place in the dark these days.
Hmm.
Or just because it's spookier, obviously.
Scary.
The medium will then open with a prayer or invocation to create an atmosphere, or some would open with music or singing to heighten sensitivity. And then participants ask questions to get responses, including knocks or rapping, voices, either disembodied or channeled through the medium, table tilting or levitation, aka table tipping, and then items appearing from nowhere, like flowers or trinkets, or full-blown apparitions or ectoplasm. We talked about Helen Duncan's ectoplasm back when we talked about witches in season 1,
We sure did.
and she was most active during World War II, so she's really among the last of like that era of mediums. But one of the most famous from the early 20th century mediums and the first known to use ectoplasm was a woman known as Eva Carriere. That was her stage name. She started hosting seances after her fiance died in 1904. He was a soldier and he died of a fever in the Congo.
That sucks.
His parents started hosting seances to try and contact him. And then Eva decided she was going to start the channeling herself.
It's so easy to get distracted by it.
You're such a dumbass. Every time she falls, I think she's gonna like break her fucking back. Oh my God. It's so stressful. Stop it. That's the most pathetic noise.
I
Um,
didn't hear it. I haven't heard
oh,
any of the sounds she's been making. I only hear you.
that's good because she's so obnoxious. Like, she's like chewing on this.
Zoom must be really dampening that noise.
She's like clawed my nipple.
Ugh.
It sounds like she was exposed pretty early on as a fraud, which is why she started using a stage name to kind of start over. But she became um
Yeah, I like Carriere. It's like derriere.
interesting that you say that because she
Oh
became
no.
wildly controversial, maybe even pornographic.
Ooh, good for
She
her.
started claiming that spirits were emerging from her. And this is where the ectoplasm comes in, of course. And in order to prove that she wasn't hiding anything, she would often get completely naked to show, stop it, to show that there was nothing hidden in her clothes. And it got to a point where she would have her assistant, who may have also been her roommate,
Mm-hmm.
unclear,
Gal
insert
pal.
a finger into her vagina to show that there was nothing there either, in front of everyone. And then following the rituals, she would also insist on another exam. And then she allegedly also started performing sexual acts with the other seance participants.
Wow. What's Girly up to?
So I it kind of sounded like that's why a lot of men especially were interested in going to her seances,
No.
and why a lot of them were not so quick to dismiss her because they were getting
Mm-hmm.
something out of it.
They're like, I don't want this to stop. I'm having so much fun.
Yeah. So that's happening in Europe. She was French, I think I mentioned. and she kind of stayed in Europe. But obviously, that behavior inspired American mediums like Mina Crandon, also known as Marjorie the Medium.
Marjorie the medium. Very what's the word I'm looking for? Not creative.
I know. Mina is a way cooler name than Marjorie. Why didn't she just say
Yeah.
Mina the Medium? I don't know.
For real, for real.
Mina began experimenting with table tipping and other seance methods at her home, likely as a distraction for her older husband, who had this encroaching sense of his own mortality. I think maybe like he was a bit obsessive about it.
Hmm.
So she burst onto the American spiritualism scene in the 1920s after Scientific American offered $5,000 to anyone who could provide scientific evidence that proved the existence of ghosts.
Is that wasn't Houdini, was it?
And this was the contest that really escalated the feud
Oh,
between Houdini and
okay.
Doyle, mentioned last
Okay.
week.
Okay.
And this contest went on into the 40s. Like it was ongoing for
Yeah.
almost 20 years. But it was 1921, nope, 1924, I wrote the wrong date. It was 1924 that Mina's husband submitted her name as someone who could prove that she was a true psychic medium. So she started hosting more upscale seances with participants from Boston's upper class and the Ivy League elite. But she never charged anyone to attend her seances, and for whatever reason, people thought that actually gave her more credibility. And even Sir Arthur Conan Doyle was a believer that she was the real deal. Her seances featured rapping noises, ectoplasm, floating objects, a spirit hand, disembodied fingerprints, like crazy stuff. And a lot of people were convinced, but not Houdini. And though she kept performing her seances, they had this ongoing battle themselves with him reproducing and discrediting her tricks constantly. I feel like she would have won that contest if he were not on the the committee of
Hmm.
people who said whether or not that they were providing evidence. But her story is really fascinating, and there's a book about the whole case called The Witch of Lime Street, if you are interested in reading more about that. So that's kind of like how spiritualism's going in the late 19th century, early 20th century. Another tool that mediums would use during their seances, but one I didn't mention earlier, is the use of spirit tablets or automatic writing to deliver messages. And they also started using an early version of a planchette to spell out messages, which led to the development of the spirit board.
Hmm.
So as I said, the Gilded Age really changed the way seances were held, and they turned them into something that was really only accessible by the elite. So, spirit boards first advertised in 1891 in a toy shop in Pittsburgh. I took a screenshot of the advertisement, but I forgot to download it so I can send it to you.
Okay.
Um, but we can post pictures of it. But they're basically advertising it as a DIY spirit encounter. They were marketed as Ouija or the wonderful talking board, and allegedly the creators asked the board what they should name it, and Ouija is what was spelled out. I don't know if I buy that, but oh, I gotta open the ad anyway, because I just put in my notes, read ad. Can you load better so you're not blurry?
Nar.
Please.
Nar.
Otherwise, I can't read it. Okay. The Ouija is without doubt the most interesting, remarkable, and mysterious production of the 19th century. Its its operations are always interesting and frequently invaluable, answering, as it does, questions concerning the, oh no, past, present, and future with marvelous accuracy. It's still blurry. It furnishes never dulling amusement and recreations for all classes, while for the never mind. Okay. Well, just got worse.
You could always just like insert a clip of you reading it for real.
Yeah, I'll just post it. It's fine.
Okay, that works.
Anyway, if you live under a rock and you don't know what a spirit or a Ouija board is, it's a board,
I always heard
obviously.
it as Ouija board, not Ouija board. I don't,
I mean,
but it's
most
spelled with an A.
it's spelled Ouija, yeah. I think
Yeah,
it's I think it's like a kind of one of those like lazy like colloquialisms, you know?
I
Because
thought it was like Berenstain Bears type thing that,
oh yeah, no.
like everyone just knows it as one way when it's actually supposed to be this.
Yeah. I think it just depends on like who you talk to. Like I
Yeah.
definitely have said if I weren't looking at it, I would probably say Ouija board, but because I'm looking
Right.
at it, like I see the A and I'm like, okay, it's a Ouija. Okay, if you don't know what it looks like, it's a board, usually a flat piece of wood, and the alphabet is laid out in two semicircles, A through M on top and N through Z on the bottom. And then there's a straight line of numbers, 9 through 0 below that. And then at the very bottom, goodbye is spelled out weirdly in two words.
Mm.
And then in the top left corner, there's yes, and in the top right corner, there's no. And it comes with a planchette, which is a kind of rounded kind of triangular teardrop shape, heart shape thing. I don't know how to describe the shape.
It's
It's
like the spades
oh yeah, it is kind of like a
symbol
spade.
without the
Yeah.
little tail thing.
Yeah. And then it has a circle cut out near the point, like a little viewfinder to indicate the letter. And then two or more people sit around the board, each with their fingertips on the planchette, much like people would sit with their fingertips on the table.
Hmm.
And a question is asked, and everyone sits there as the planchette moves itself around the board, spelling out answers. And spiritualists actually didn't like the Ouija board because it was communication without a professional middleman and it was cutting them out, you know? But they were used by anyone and everyone as a divination method, as guidance. They were not thought of as evil or anything until something happened in 1973 to make the board overnight an instrument of evil. What do you think it was?
Wait, what was the year you said?
1973.
Made it evil overnight. I bet some horror movie, right? Okay.
It was The Exorcist.
Oh, that's funny.
And this is something
Oh God.
I know I'm going to talk about this in at least one other episode. Probably, well, two other episodes. I'll definitely talk about The Exorcist in two other episodes. But in this context, like The Exorcist changing the way that we see something, definitely in another episode. Hold on, Luna's making a weird noise. Oh, Jesus, cat.
What happened?
She's been doing this like I don't know, kind of that like where is everyone? Like meow.
Yeah.
Uh
Ow.
she's been
Ow.
doing that a lot lately, but this one was like a ow, 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 ow. And I have
Poor
not heard
baby.
her do anything like that lately, so I was like, "Oh my God, what's happening?"
Oh,
But as soon as I came out, she was like under the table, kind of by the window. And as soon as I went out, she was just like came over to me and was like, "What's up?" So I think she's just being a whiny little baby.
she's allowed.
Okay, anyway, okay, The Exorcist, yes. For today's context, the movie depicts Reagan, the girl, playing with a Ouija board, and that's supposed to be what led her to be possessed, excuse me. And of course, the whole thing about The Exorcist is that it's supposed to be based on a true story, right?
Yeah. Is it happening again?
Just like heard like
Oh
someone
my
just
goodness.
sliced the futon open. Oh
Oh
my
dear
God.
God.
It's fine. Okay. I can always get another cover next time we go to IKEA. So The Exorcist changed pop culture and American society as a whole in several ways, but I'll talk more about that in those other episodes. I think maybe this should kind of be a theme for some of our season two merch. Like, the answer to many things about our socio-political climate is just because, Ronald Reagan. The answer to
Yep.
many things about like satanic panic and pop culture is like because The Exorcist. And when I was writing my notes, I was like, it's also just because Reagan, because that's the girl's name.
Yeah. Just
So
a bunch of Reagan.
it's fucking Reagan.
Yeah, I suppose you're right, huh?
So people saw The Exorcist, and all of a sudden, Ouija boards became tools of the devil. But is there any evidence to support their authenticity? How do you feel about Ouija boards?
I would never use one. I have heard from too many people that trying to speak with spirits is frankly none of my business because you never know who you're talking to.
But we're going on a ghost hunt.
Yeah. But I feel like in my brain, it's different. I don't know
Yeah,
why, but it feels different.
I I mean I said that, but I feel pretty much the same way. I don't believe that there is anything behind a Ouija board, but
Hmm.
it's one of those things where like I'd rather not do it anyway, like statistically, that's fine.
Sorry, Seth was texting me about food. I'm like, I'm pissy.
I don't believe there's anything there, but I still would rather be safe than sorry, and I'm just no
Yeah,
thanks.
yeah.
But yeah, ghost hunts are fine. So there's something called the idiometer effect. Have you heard about this?
No, I am desperate to know what it is, though.
Everyone who uses a Ouija board is an idiot. No. Uh, in 1852, a physician and psychologist called William Carpenter published a report for the Royal Institute about automatic muscular movements, those that take place beyond the conscious will, sometimes without you even noticing. And as
Hmm.
soon as this report came out, researchers were able to apply this concept to spiritualist activities, especially at that time, table tipping. So here's a quote from a current psychologist at the University of London. It can generate a very strong impression that the movement is being caused by some outside agency, but it's not. The thing about all these mechanisms we're talking about, dowsing rods, Ouija boards, pendulums, these small, like seance tables, they're
Mhm.
all devices whereby quite small muscular movement can cause really a large effect. Planchettes in particular are well suited for their task. Many used to be constructed of a lightweight wooden board and fitted with small casters to help them move more smoothly and freely. Now they're
Mhm.
usually plastic and have felt feet, which also help them slide over the board easily. With Ouija boards, you've got the whole social context. It's usually a group of people, and everyone has slight influence. Not only does the individual give up some conscious control while participating, it can't be me, people think, but also in a group, no one person can take credit for the planchette's movements, making it seem like the answers must be coming from an otherworldly source. And once the idea has been implanted there, there's almost a readiness to happen. So, like, all of these things are happening on these, like, micro muscular movements,
Mhm.
and the fact that people want them to happen.
Yeah, it's
So,
giving dowsing rods
yeah.
a little bit. Oh,
Yeah. And that was one of the things that he mentioned.
yeah.
And now researchers are even conducting experiments using Ouija boards to determine what someone's non-consciousness knows, which is pretty cool. One of the examples was that they asked people questions that they didn't necessarily know the answer to. And they did it in two ways. One where they just asked them verbally questions, and one where they had to use the Ouija board to answer the question.
Hmm.
And when they were answering the questions verbally and they just guessed, they got the questions right about 50% of the time. But when they used the Ouija board to answer the questions, they were consistently right about 65% of the time because they were like under the belief that something else was in control of answering the question.
Mm-hmm.
But the psychologists are approaching it as a way of like they had convinced them that someone else that they couldn't see, like through magnets or something, was also controlling the Ouija board,
Mm-hmm.
even though they weren't. And it was a way for these people to kind of like let go of their inhibition a little bit, or like tap into something that they don't think they know, but they do actually know. And so they're conducting these experiments to find out like what else your non-consciousness knows, especially about your own body.
It's very interesting psychology.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also worth mentioning, it's more common in pop culture for it to be girls or women playing with Ouija boards that leads
Well,
to
of
the scary
course.
thing happening. What cultural fear is that demonstrating? Seems a lot like witchcraft to me. Now, we cannot talk about American spiritualism without talking about one woman who took it allegedly to the absolute extreme, Sarah Winchester.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say your mom. I was ready for it. I'm like, yes, I know.
My mom?
No, you're gonna be like
Your mom.
talking to
Okay.
me, your mom.
Yeah. Either way. Either way could make sense. I mean, look at
I,
my mom.
I don't know.
Uh, anyway, do you know anything about Sarah Winchester?
Only for what you've told me, really.
I don't think that's that much.
No,
I don't
no,
talk about her that often, I don't think.
no. I mean, there have been like random anecdotes and shit about like a lot of different topics that we've covered over the past however many episodes.
That's
Um,
true. We just posted our 50th episode.
you
I posted
gotta be
a
shitting
I
me.
posted our thing from Buzzsprout on Instagram today.
What?
Including all of our bonguses.
Our bonguses. So many bongus. Bongai.
Fungi.
Oh God, I have so many notifications on Instagram. Holy fuck.
Come here, little bean. Do not attack me. Just come here, please.
Okay, anyway, I'll deal with this later.
There's like the story and the legend when it comes to Sarah Winchester.
Nice.
So we'll talk one, then we'll talk the other.
Okay.
She was born Sarah Lockwood, but went by Sally in Connecticut in 1839. Oh, okay. Tastes like raspberry sherbet.
Jesus Christ, brother.
She married William Wirt Winchester, the only son and heir of Oliver Winchester, who founded the Winchester Repeating Arms Company. In 1866, they had a daughter named Annie who died after only a month from marasmus. Oliver Winchester died in 1880, leaving everything to William, and then William died in 1881, leaving everything to Sally. So she's pretty loaded, and women shouldn't have control over that much money. Obviously, they're too irrational. In 1886, she bought a two-story, eight-room farmhouse in the Santa Clara Valley near San Jose.
Good for her.
And here's where the legend kicks off. She had a medium, allegedly, in Boston, tell her that she was cursed by the spirits of everyone who had ever died by a Winchester rifle, and that building a home for them would keep them appeased because this would atone for the sins of her family. So the rumors are that she conducted seances every night and used spiritualism as a way to communicate with what the spirits wanted her to build. So there were no blueprints and everything was just kind of built by the seat of everyone's pants.
That's, that's normal.
The story also suggests that she was scared of the spirits, believing that if construction stopped, they would kill her, and that a lot of the odd characteristics of the house were a result of her trying to confuse and trap the spirits to protect herself. It still has about 161 rooms, 40 of those being bedrooms, two ballrooms, 47 fireplaces, 17 chimneys, 2,000 doors, some leading to nowhere, some leading to 15-foot drop-offs, 10,000 windows, some of them Tiffany stained glass. I don't want to be the person cleaning those.
No.
Some with Shakespeare quotes. Two two-story basement,
A two, I don't even know how to work. I'm just gonna keep listening.
six
It just gets
kitchens,
more ridiculous. Okay.
a cabinet door that opens to 30 more rooms, secret passages, three elevators, trap doors, push button gas lighting, and indoor plumbing with hot water, which were both rare for the time. Staircases to nowhere, 13 bathrooms, but only one working toilet. The others are supposed to be decoys to confuse the spirits, but like, do ghosts go to the bathroom?
I,
Is that what ectoplasm is?
my brother in Christ, don't even get me started. I don't want to be thinking about ghosts pissing and shitting and farting.
While the house does seem crazy, Sally, who as a woman wasn't allowed to be formally trained as an architect, but was deeply interested and passionate about architecture,
Hmm.
used her home to experiment with plans and designs and construction to teach herself about architecture, because otherwise she was learning from magazines.
Yeah, when all else fails, just teach yourself.
Yeah. So she like read magazines and learned and then just experimented. She also had pretty bad arthritis. Like the staircases are weirdly shallow, so like there's a lot more stairs zigzagging back and forth with really
Hmm.
shallow risers. She had really bad arthritis. And so it's believed that's actually why the stairs are weird, because they were easier for her to get up and down. And arthritis can be pretty disfiguring, which can explain her growing reclusive nature.
She didn't want anyone to look at her body like literally being decrepit and shit.
Yeah, like my grandma's arthritis was like she had to have like she had to have her rings cut off of her fingers and then like rebuilt to have like hinges or like expansion mechanisms in them
Hmm.
so she could get them off and on. Because her knuckles were like twice the size of her actual fingers
Yeah. And they're
from
probably like
arthritis.
solidified.
Yeah, and her knees were, that's why she had to have two knee replacements. Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, arthritis can be pretty disfiguring. The construction wasn't literally continuous despite the stories. There were breaks for the off seasons or because she just wanted a bit of peace and quiet every now and then.
Yeah,
Uh,
me too. I hear you.
but she was able to provide continuous employment during the economic depression in the 1890s, using her hobbies to provide a living wage for the working class. So, like, she found excuses to keep building things. I mean, she wanted to build them anyway, so she was like, well, I could afford it, so you're not going to find work elsewhere.
I
Just
like
come build
her.
my house. Yeah, she was fucking cool. There's also documentation to support the belief that she bought houses for the workers and their families to live in while they were working on her house. And then the house was damaged in the 1906 earthquake, which took it from 7 stories to four, and
Oh,
new
darn.
and new construction stopped at this time, so all efforts could be focused on the repairs. So also, you're repairing your house after an earthquake. That's gonna take a while. I think she got a bad rap for being a wealthy woman in times of economic uncertainty, and for being a wealthy woman in a time when women weren't supposed to have the shit,
Yeah, when women were supposed to be total losers and not know anything and
not have rights, not have
etc., etc.
actual exciting hobbies, not have opinions, not have influence. She died in 1922, and then this asshat, John H. Brown, got his hands on the mansion. He was a roller coaster designer. He designed this thing called a backety back for a place in Canada, which ended up killing a woman after she was thrown from one of the cars. So I don't
That's
think
not
he was that
great.
good at his job.
No, probably not.
He
That's
and his
funky. I'm sorry. Back.
I know it's stupid.
Ugh.
And he and
Yeah.
his wife ended up renting the Winchester house after Sarah's death, initially because they wanted to build a theme park on the land with these backety backs, like on, I think they were kind of like a version of a wooden roller coaster, it sounds like.
Hmm.
But no one wanted that, so they switched gears and immediately started like upping the strange attraction nature of the house, like the staircases leading to nowhere and all this. Um, and really promoting this like spiritualist seance spirit aspect, which
Hmm.
they probably, well, I think the rumors were already existing when Sarah was alive, just because she did keep to herself. Reports after the fact from like her staff and everything were like, no, she wasn't into that. She was like I don't know, she wasn't a Baptist, but she went to church. Like she wasn't,
Hmm. She was just normal. She was just reclusive. She just wanted to hang out by herself.
yeah.
Literally, that's it.
And she might have, it might have been one of those Queen Victoria things where she did mourn her husband like
Yeah.
for the rest of her life, and wear black all the time, and maybe that added something to it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, but it seems like this guy really tapped into those rumors and like made it the house this like attraction, tapping into this like spiritual side of things and this like, ghost side of things because today it's supposed to be one of the most haunted houses in the country.
Hmm.
And the house was open for tours just 5 months after Sarah's death. This house is the inspiration for Disney's Haunted Mansion.
That makes a lot of sense.
All the ghost shows go there. You know, Ghost Adventures has been there. It's been on BuzzFeed Unsolved twice. It was featured on the 100th episode of American Horror Story. There was the 2018 movie Winchester with Helen Mirren.
That does sound familiar. There's also the Winchester family from Supernatural.
Yeah, not related.
Yeah.
I double checked.
Oh, that's stupid.
So I went to the theaters to see this movie. I took my
Uh-huh.
not
Oh,
boyfriend
excuse
at
me.
the time, but it was his birthday, it came out. And that was his gift. He wasn't into gifts. We went to the movies
Mm.
to see this. It was terrible. And then yesterday I was like, "Oh, I wanted to watch this again before we record this episode." And Shannon was like, "Well, Jubal said it was amazing, so I wasn't expecting much." And I was like, "Yeah, that's fair. It's a really bad movie."
Yeah.
Uh
Ooh, that's not telling.
yeah. It also
I don't know what it is.
it has I don't know, it has like a really random cast other than Helen Mirren. Shannon said that he recognized the main guy in it from Lawless.
Do you know the actor's name?
No, hold on.
I'm really, really bad with names, but sometimes I
Yeah,
recognize something. Excuse me.
he said he was an, oh, Jason Clark. I have no idea who that is.
No idea.
Oh, he's in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, White House Down,
Wait, okay,
Oppenheimer,
what is this dude's name again?
Jason Clark with an E. Zero Dark 30.
Oh, I know this guy. Okay.
Yeah, I don't,
Yeah.
but and then who's the other lady that's in it? Her name sounds familiar. Sarah Snook. Her
That
name sounds familiar,
does
but I
sound
don't.
familiar.
Succession?
The most popular TV show of all time right now.
Yeah, I don't know any of this stuff.
I've never seen it.
An American Pickle.
Ooh,
And then
that was a funny show or a funny movie.
the other guy that's in it, Shannon and I were both like, that guy looks so familiar. Who is that? And it took me forever to figure it out. Because I told Shannon, I was like, he just looks like the thing in Pan's Labyrinth that holds his eyes.
Mm.
He plays the Black Knight in The Witcher.
Oh,
So when I was like, oh my God, that's yeah, that makes sense now.
I damn.
But anyway, it's not a good movie. They did an interesting thing with it. They really played up this like character of her. She's finally asleep.
Mm.
She's so cute. They really played up this character of her being paranoid and like in the spirits. They kind of showed her doing automatic drawing as opposed to writing, where like that's how she would
Hmm.
create the blueprints. The I liked the idea behind it, but I wish it was like a standalone ghost like haunted house movie, not connected to like the Winchester story. I think
Right.
it would have been more successful because ultimately she does these automatic drawings for these rooms, and the spirits are like telling her how to design the room because that's the room that they died in.
Hmm.
And then once the room is constructed, she sits in the room and has a conversation with them because all of this is, of course, about them being killed by Winchester rifles. So it's all these victims that have been killed, and whatever.
Yeah.
They have this conversation and they kind of come to terms with things, and she helps the spirits move on, and then she seals the
Mhm.
room. And then there's like this big evil spirit that is the Black Knight from The Witcher. And
That sounds fine.
yeah, like I said, I think it would be better if it wasn't connected to the Winchester story.
Yeah.
If it were a standalone ghost movie, I'd be like, oh, that's a pretty unique idea. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, and like the guy has like his own demons and shit that he comes to terms with in the house, and I don't know. It was fine. It's just not good. It's not well done. Like it's an
Yeah.
interesting concept, not well done.
Yeah.
And it did win an award for being like the worst movie of the year or something. Um,
Like the Razzie or whatever they are.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Rip.
yeah.
That fucking sucks.
So whatever.
Um,
But yeah. So spiritualism today hasn't gone
yeah.
away.
Nope.
We just have this like digitization of old spiritualist traditions on TikTok and Instagram and whatever. And I think it's the same thing where some creators are genuinely like spiritual and tapping into something, and others are just like saying whatever, posting those like mass videos to make profit. Like the people who do the like group readings on TikTok, and then they just like want you to stay tuned to hear something about yourself, so they monetize their viewership or whatever. And of course, we have paranormal shows like Ghost Hunters and Ghost Adventures, different equipment, more gadgets, but like they literally ask the same question. Like the questions have not changed. Is anyone here with us?
Yeah.
Is someone
They'd
there?
never deviate from that.
Yeah.
It's like,
Who,
okay.
like, who's here with me? What do you want? How can I help you?
Why
Like,
do you assume they want anything?
yeah.
You're the one that wants something.
I like the people who go in and say, like, what can we do for you?
Yeah. I know the whole thing, like everyone is so used to shit
You
being like
sleepy
so
baby.
transactional and whatnot.
Yeah.
I like the people that go in and they're like, "Hi, we're just here to be here
Yeah.
to learn more about you. We don't expect anything, but we would appreciate because we're like scholars or we're just interested, you know."
Yeah. You coming up to snuggle? Finally? I sent you a picture.
Oh, come on.
You're sleepy now. You don't want to get in your basket? It's okay. You can sit on the blankie. We put Luna does not use her bed.
Hmm.
So we put it in this laundry basket, and then we put a blanket on top of it. So then, like, if she goes to sleep in the basket, we can just pick it up and take it outside with us. Uh,
Carry it around.
yeah.
That's precious.
And then, like, Luna can, like, kind of see her through the basket and everything and get used to her
Yeah.
being out there. But anyway, so yeah, same, the theory, especially, like, the questions are the same. The theory is the same. Like, the theory about why places are haunted hasn't
Mhm.
changed. Like, that concept of unfinished business or like massive trauma being stored in a space is the same. I have a few of the ghost stories from the Winchester house, and then I have a few
Okay.
Ouija board stories
Okay.
to wrap up on a spooky note.
I was already feeling kind of spooky, but sure, man.
So
I'm
there's
ready.
one ghost known as Clyde. He has a big old mustache and is sometimes seen pushing a wheelbarrow around or trying to fix their fireplace. People often assume he's an actor, and then when they like make a comment to the staff is like, "We don't have actors." People
That would make me
often
freak out.
report feeling gentle tugs at their shirts or their skirts, and they hear disembodied footsteps, often in the areas that are out of bounds to visitors. So when employees go to tell them to get out of there, there's no one there.
Mhm.
One guy was up on a ladder doing some restoration work on a ladder and felt a tap on his shoulder.
Oh God, oh my Christ.
So he turns
Sorry.
around to see what whoever this person wants, but there's no one there. And so he goes back to what he's doing and then reports feeling someone pushing this time. So he
Mm.
was like, never mind, I'm gonna go work on something else for the rest of the day.
I'm gonna I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
I'm gonna head out. I'm gonna head out.
One tour guide was taking visitors up to the Daisy bedroom, which is where Sarah was during one of the earthquakes that damaged the house in 1906. She was getting ready to do her bit for that part of the tour and heard a big sigh from the hallway, so she assumed there was a tourist still stuck out there. So she looks out, didn't see anyone at first, and then saw a small dark figure glide around the corner, and then heard another deep sigh. And they thought that was Sarah because she was only like 4'10". And this room had been sealed off after the earthquake because Sarah was trapped in there and had to be rescued by workers. And
Mhm.
they only opened it up like a year before this happened, specifically for tours.
Mhm.
So that's some good stuff.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's great. I'm feeling really good right now.
wait till we're on an actual ghost hunt with
I
a
know.
cemetery and everything.
I know.
I'm so excited.
I'm gonna be inconsolable.
Maybe we need to get you like a weed gummy or something.
For real.
Like
No, honestly, that might make
chill
it
out.
worse. That has historically made my anxiety not great.
That's how mine is if it's too much. It's only a
Yeah.
teeny tiny amount. Okay, so some Ouija stories. In high school, a couple of friends, a couple of friends, my friend's mom and myself were talking about a local building being haunted. It's like a landscaping goods warehouse, rumored to be the location of a murder years before. The mom worked there, so we decided to break out the board and give it a shot. I'd never used I thought you were raising your hand.
Sorry.
I had never
Moving this
used one
damn thing because of
before.
my cat
Fair.
wants to be in my lap. Oh, did you hear that?
Yeah. I never used one before, so I was skeptical from the jump. The place is essentially a large warehouse with tall metal racks like Costco or Home Depot, stacked with big bags of dirt, manure, bark, and other things like large ceramic flower pots. The board was glow in the dark, so we kept all the lights off. Once we got going, it started moving around, and I was freaking out already. We asked if something was there to let us know, and there was a loud bang that seemed to come from the rafters on the other side of the warehouse. Every question that followed was met with a similar bang from a various location in the warehouse, sometimes close, sometimes far. The last question asked was if it meant us harm, and the thingy already on the no answer did not move. The question was repeated and immediately followed by the closest noise yet, seemed right on top of us. So we decided to ski fucking daddle. As we were rushing out, we flipped our flashlights and saw one or two of the large pots fall from the racks and heard what we would later found to be 40-pound bags of bark dropping to the ground.
Oh,
There was
shit.
also a low, slow grinding noise that when my friends returned the next day was a sledgehammer that had been dragged through the dirt-covered cement floor, standing straight up in the air with drag marks, but no footprints nearby. TL
Yo.
TLDR, I pretty much believe in ghosts now and slept with the lights on for a week.
Yeah, I don't blame you, person. I would do the same.
Oh, sleepy. Okay. All right, the next one. I was about 12 or 13, spending the night at a friend's house, goofing around with the Ouija board, with him and his sister, and we were getting all sorts of gibberish plus words spelled out, just kind of scaring ourselves for fun and not taking it very seriously. When we got the message, I can see you through the window, and then I can see you through his eyes, or something like that.
Uh-huh.
There was just a small window in the basement room where we were, and just the backyard and woods past the driveway visible through that window. We asked it more questions, and it said, I'm under the car. So we somehow got up the nerve to go out with a flashlight and peer under the car, where we saw a huge black stray cat was hissing. We ran aside, freaking out, and in that exact moment, the power failed and all the lights in the house went out. We just about actually shit ourselves. A few minutes later, the power came back on, and we all sat up till dawn, scared and never played with the board again.
Uh-huh.
Um, okay.
Yeah, I think I would throw up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go ahead and say I would throw up.
When I was in my car, the first, nope, where did that come from? When I was in my first year of uni, we started playing with a homemade Ouija. There were like five of us. We contacted some spirit whose name I'm glad to have forgotten. And as we were talking to it, the doorbell rang, and one of my friends had to go as her dad was there to pick her up. We didn't close the session by saying goodbye to the spirit as we had no clue and just threw the paper away. Now, the girl that had to leave early started acting strange and didn't hang with the rest of us as much. After a few months, she told us she went to get a cleansing as she wasn't feeling like herself, and told us that the moment she stepped in the door, the witch lady that was going to cleanse her totally freaked out and told her she had a spirit with her and used the very same name that we had seen on the Ouija board many months before. She told my friend that the spirit was following her as we didn't close the session and attempted to cleanse her without any success. And that's why I don't need to play with Ouija boards.
I'm good. I'm good actually. No,
Like,
I'm good.
even if I do it right, that's fine. Okay, this is the last one. When I was little, my mom took out a Ouija board and asked my brother and I if we'd like to play with it. It started out pretty funny. Someone was obviously moving the thing, making words like poop and stuff like that. Did I mention we were young enough for that to be hilarious? I don't think age matters. It's always gonna be fun.
I truly don't. I think that shit's fire. Literally, that shit is fire.
That shit is fire. But then my mom said, let's get serious and try to contact someone.
Oh, goody
Moms,
joy.
what are you doing, moms? Here's where it gets weird. A friend of hers had recently gone missing. He'd been missing for about a month or so, and nobody knew where he was. When we asked who it was we were talking to, his name was spelled out. Let's just say it was George, since I don't remember. When we asked George if he was my mom's friend, he said yes. My mom got visibly upset and asked where he was. In a lake was spelled out. It was extremely upsetting, and we stopped immediately. Mom tried to be lighthearted
Yeah.
about it, and since I was young, I believed it to be no big deal as well, following her lead. About 2 weeks later, they found George's body. He had
Oh,
been hit by a car or train or something on some bridge, and his body fell into the nearby lake, though it was more like a
damn.
large pond. It was a reasonably remote place, so no one had found it for a while. The end.
Okay. Uh-huh. Yeah,
That
I can't wait to go
that's all I
ghost
got.
hunting in like a few weeks.
Yeah, in like 3 weeks. Oh my God. Yep.
Yep.
You should take your dad somewhere spooky on your road trip.
Oh God. I don't know how well we would do. But being honest, we're both Brady cats with jump scares.
Okay.
Okay. Well, that one kind of freaked me out a little bit. Yeah, okay.
That's
Bye.
good. We're just getting spooked up for ghost hunting.
Yeah, I'm just trying to be normal about it. I'm so brave.
Well, that concludes this week's broadcast. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you wish to stay in touch, reach out to us at broadcastfromthebelfry@gmail.com or stalk us on Instagram at broadcastfromthebelfry. Again, I hope you've enjoyed our little show. Please rate and review. And until next week, stay Spiritualism.